Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining Painting with Picasso's Grapevine. My name is Leanna Hahn and I will be your host and teacher for today. Today we're going to paint this beautiful painting, and in the spirit of kind of thinking about the winter coming up, I know it's scary to think about that, we're going to start thinking about something that's a little bit more wintering. And you know what, people think about cardinals, they think winter, they think Christmas, and it's just a nice thought. This is a very loose painting, very easy. It's kind of a whimsical interpretation of a tree. They're birches, and we've got a little bit of splattering painting going on top here. Real loose, real easy, low on the intimidation factor, very forgiving. So to get us started off, we're going to start with a list of what our supplies we'll need today. I have 4 brushes with me today. I may or may not use all of them. I have a number 6 Filbert. I have a number 2, it's kind of a slanted brush here. I have a number 1 Filbert, and I have a number 1 square. As always, we're going to be working with our acrylic paint, so we need our dab rag and we'll need a cup of water. And for today, we're going to be working with black, white, and red. Pretty simple. Now, for you folks at home, I went ahead and started off by painting my canvas black. Now, I've actually reused this. I had some other paintings on here, so I painted right over this. You can start with a canvas that is already pre-stretched and pre-painted black, or you can just do it on add black yourself, let it dry. So what we'll do is I'm going to keep the original off to the side here a little bit so you can kind of see as we progress the original versus what we're trying to achieve here. Now, the placement of the trees is very ambiguous. We don't have really a very strong need to have them any particular certain order. You know, you can put, this one has, what, 5 trees. You can put 2 trees. You can put, 3 trees, 4 trees. The placement is really not too specific. Again, it's very loose. And even deciding where we're going to put our bird is quite frankly up to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it off with our number 6 Filbert. Let's go ahead and dab it in the water and dab it off in our dab rag. I'm going to start with our white. And we're just going to decide where our tree is going to go. So we've got some over here to the right. These are very wonky, so they're very forgiving. So we're just kind of wobbly going down here. They're kind of thin at some point. They're kind of thicker. Again, this is not a traditional birch tree. This is just a nice, whimsical interpretation. And that's what's so nice about it. It's just fun. I'm going to only do 3. We'll do 3 here. So I'm just drawing with the side of my brush, just taking it all the way down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back in, grab some white, and we're going to just start doing this nice light side stroke. Now, I'm using the side of my brush, and I'm making my strokes oval in nature. Now you're doing that very specifically because you want to show that this tree is round. If I went straight across, you wouldn't get that same effect. So you want to make them oval, kind of little happy faces. We'll add a little bit more paint and just kind of continue on down. Now, if you have a little bit of that black showing through, that's okay. Again, that's kind of the composition of this particular painting. It's very loose. You'll hear me say that quite a few times. We like that. Loose is good, loose is easy. Loose gives you a lot of room for forgiveness. If you make mistakes, we can fix it. So we're just going to carry down. Now I'm not putting a lot of paint on here, just kind of getting a nice thin coat. Using the same technique, carrying it all the way down. And what I'm going to do now, before this starts to dry, what I want to do is go back and grab a little bit of that black, and I'm going to go on top. And I want to do this because I want that nice wet on wet effect. So there's not a very specific pattern of where to place these. You kind of decide where you want, but randomly add a little bit of black. Now you'll notice I'm not going back to my palette as I'm adding this. I'm letting that white kind of mix with the black, and you're getting a little bit more of a gray feel as you continue down. So nice and cool, nice and easy. We'll add a little bit more black to this one and do the same thing. Now if you wanted to start a little bit from the right to the left, that's cool too. We don't want it to be completely one side balanced. And just continue down. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to worry about washing off my paintbrush. I'm going to grab a little bit of the white and I'm going to go back in and kind of make the outsides a little bit more defined. And this is where I'm going to decide where I'm going to put some limbs. And again, the limbs are pretty free-loving. They're not too specific. They're kind of rolling out here to the side. And just kind of continue down. Doing the same thing on this side as well. Looks like I got a little bit of my red mixed in there. Watch yourself. And then as well, I'm going to decide, okay, I'll add a few more branches up here. And I'm going to place one. We're going to put our little bird right there in the middle. So let's kind of decide, all right, we'll put one up here. And that's where our little bird is going to go. We want to give him a place to sit down. We don't want him to get tired. Now, how thick or how thin should these trees be? Truly, that's up to you. I have 3 on here. What I would recommend, now my 3 tend to be a little bit similar in nature as far as the size. I would recommend not doing that. If you're going to add another one, make it thinner. What I like about this one is that this one is bigger. This one is kind of medium. This is smaller. You want them inconsistent. Now you'll hear me say that many, many times over and over again. Nature is very inconsistent, so make sure the placement of your trees is inconsistent. Make sure the size of your trees are inconsistent. You don't want them to look the same. You will rarely find 2 trees in nature that look exactly alike. And then we'll finish up the same thing over here. What's nice about this painting at the very end is we're going to add this nice little splatter painting, and everybody loves splatter painting because what it does is just kind of creates a lot of movement in your painting. And if you don't like your lines, it's a great eraser. It will hide where your lines are. If something is improportionate or you don't like exactly how it's coming out, adding that splatter painting really kind of hides it. So it's a great little eraser. Now I'm using the same size brush. You can come in with different size brushes. You can make them a little bigger, a little smaller. You can decide to make some perhaps a little bit more pronounced than others. Again, the key being make them different. And then we'll kind of throw some limbs out here. I'm using the tip of my brush to draw these. You could use a much smaller brush if you like, if you don't feel comfortable with that. I do like the limbs to kind of move up and grow and kind of go off the page here. If you have trouble with some of that movement, go ahead and add some water to your paint. That will make it a little bit more liquefied and it'll transition much easier. All right, I think we're ready for our bird. Now, this particular bird is pretty easy again. We're just going to work on the overall form. We're going to get a circle, we're going to get some ovals going on there, and we're going to get some nice little feathers. Pretty simple. I'm going to work with my angled brush. You just need a small brush. And what you're going to probably need is perhaps a couple layers on this. What you're going to find with red is very, very translucent. To be able to get good coverage, you're going to need to put a couple layers. The first coverage will just kind of get your placement of the bird. The second coverage will actually kind of get some good color on there. So we're going to go ahead and get a nice circular form for the head. So pretty simple. Let's just kind of get an oval going there. And we're going to draw that oval down just a hair. And we're going to add on to it a nice little oval circle that's going to be the back. And with this particular bird, he's got a beautiful plume. So I'm taking my strokes, my brush, and I'm starting from the center, kind of moving out, letting it fan as it kind of moves down the back of his head. Very nice. Then we're going to go ahead and make a little bit more of the form here. It's okay. We're going to go over with this portion in black, but we're just going to draw it for right now. And we'll get the positioning of the beak here and carry that down. And we're going to bring in our body. There we go. So we do want the back of that bird's feathers to kind of carry out on the bottom. We've got the bottom of the body underneath, and then we're going to carry some of the feathers out underneath. And again, it's okay if you're picking up some of that white, because we're going to go over that with a couple of colors of layers of red, and that will kind of give you a better coverage. Now I'm using my angular brush because I do like that I can turn it, twist it, and kind of get some of those tight corners in. Really, the answer is you need to pick a brush and play with it and get comfortable with what types of techniques that you can achieve with that brush. Now normally you would have some opportunity to let this dry before you add on a second layer. Since we are together here, just completing this all together at once, I'm going to do my best to add a second layer and get a little bit of coverage, realizing that you at home would be able to give this an opportunity to dry, then come back and add your second layer. Then what I'll do is go ahead, wash this off a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit of that black with my very small brush. I'm going to use my number 1 Filbert, and I'm going to do some of those nice highlights. So we're going to come in and draw a little bit of the face. It's almost like a little heart. You can see that. And again, acrylic, what you're going to find is all about the layering. So while this is the first layer, you may find you need another layer for the black as well. And what we'll do is we'll kind of come in underneath and give some definition to the bottom of the bird's wings. We'll kind of give some highlights here. And then if you'd like to add a little bit of white, white's always nice as well. I'm just going to add just a dab of it, just to give some comparisons. Just kind of on the tops. Again, you will have had an opportunity to go through and put a second layer of red before you do any of those highlights. And then the last item that we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do some of that splatter paint. Now, you've got some white on your paper plate here. Go ahead, add some more water to it. The idea is to get it very liquefied. Now, I always caution people, do this in a place where you've got some nice coverage, not on your beautiful dining room table, but maybe in the basement somewhere. Go ahead and mix it around. You definitely don't want to do this because you'll fling it behind you, and you'll do this, you'll fling it in front of you. So we're going to do a kind of a controlled fling. And what we'll do is we'll kind of use our fingers and just kind of fling it a little bit right here. Now it's probably best to go ahead and lay this down on your counter or on your table, whatever you're working on, because you want that be able to, those little driplets, those little droplets to dry first. I have them standing up, so you have the risk of potentially that rolling down and it being kind of a drip going down your canvas, which you don't want. So lay it down, do your controlled splatter painting, and then enjoy it. I hope you found some great tips. I hope you found we've taken some of the scary out of painting, and you can have the ability to try this at home. If you would like to get some more information on how to paint one of these beautiful paintings, send an email to info@picassosgrapevine.com. Thank you for joining us.